start with the communication, collaboration, cooperation that industries and companies need. I think we just need to make sure we reinforce that, the resume writing, the writing skills, speaking skills, etc. Number two, the integration of the district with the companies. We talked about touring the facility, getting parents involved, the old career fair concept, if you would. That companies come to the school and show what they have to offer as far as employment opportunities, more about the development of the companies that we would normally see from the outside. Yes, I think of Schneider, I think of truck drivers, I'm sorry, but certainly that's wrong. There's more there than that. And third component would be the companies, the industries themselves. What are they doing to improve their own workers? What are they doing to attract employees, development of those employees, that we really don't have any say as a district, but that's just part of the way they do business. Those are my big three takeaways.
Who else? Jason, was that your first language that you?
So I was here for the secondary educators.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were. Yes. How'd you feel about it?
I thought there was some great information they shared. One of the things that several different people mentioned is the communication skills and the gap and just general knowing how to carry on a conversation or how to write an email in a professional manner. It didn't surprise me all that much. I see that myself in business, but I think that was maybe a challenge. You know, we do such a great job integrating technology into the classroom, but maybe that's a challenge for us with how do we make sure that they're still developing proper communication skills and not just relying on technology to do the job.
I read it, I wasn't there obviously, but I thought Tim Dino's comments going through that caught my eye when he went through this as the self-starter and how do you measure it. But I thought it was a kind of a good tie into previous items from today. So and pushing kids a little bit more. So I thought that was a good one. It's just a little portion of a lot of that.
Right.
One other thing that surprised me, I guess, was I think a couple different folks mentioned the deficit in the IT area and just how difficult it is to find well-trained employees in that area. What surprised me though was several of them mentioned that it doesn't require a 4-year college degree. That was a shock to me as a college graduate and as a parent, you know. But I thought that was interesting and something that probably our students would benefit from being aware of. If they don't have plans to go to college for 4 years, it doesn't necessarily rule out jobs like IT or cybersecurity. I think was one that was mentioned.
Right. Yes, we did talk about the huge need for that. Right. Something increasing.
Yeah, Becky is part of the IT Alliance. I'm talking about that initiative and how we're running in there.
Yeah, the new IT Alliance to Northeast Wisconsin must be about 6-7 years ago now that we started up, and it was in conjunction with New North because of the great need that there is for people in the IT fields, many IT fields, and like we're not even coming close to being able to staff everything that's out there in terms of students coming out of high school, students coming out of 2-year colleges, 4-year colleges, whatever the case might be. And so we really started the Alliance as what can we do to give our students more of an experience out in the field so they would even consider being part of the creation of technology and not just the use of technology. And so the technical colleges and post-secondary is involved, and then there's many businesses throughout northeast Wisconsin that are involved in it and support it, because we just really want to grow in those fields. And so,
Practically speaking, what that means for us is this Wednesday night, after we do an infomercial, we were hosting our first computer science advisory board.
Right.
We have kind of a rock star team of business leaders who are joining us. Can you talk about why we're doing that?
So,
What we're doing?
we're starting up a district steering committee, so people from the district that will be part of it, and a community advisory board. And so, the purpose of the steering committee is to develop pre-K-12 computer science standards as to what all of our students will experience all the way through, and be able to have subcommittees that generate curriculum and learning experiences from that, from the standards. And then the advisory committee is meant to have people within our community who are connected to these fields in some way, and have them advise us on what does it need to look like, what do our students need, what kinds of opportunities will they have out there, how do we best prepare them, because it's really important to have regular input from people who are in the field, because this is ever changing. And so we're excited. We have many people that were very excited that we're having a meeting and that we're going to be doing this, and every response I got was so excited to be there, can't wait to have input. And so so we're energized by that, and meeting for the first time this Wednesday evening.
That's good.
So stay tuned. We know more, but definitely with Telecom Tech, Michelle Schuler from
TechSpark. Right.
It's a Microsoft partnership, which is lots of great opportunities, just 10 minutes, 15 minutes from here.
Kim Iverson from New IT Alliance. We're trying to get some of the people involved who have been part of the work in the region, so that they can help inform as well. So, yeah, so it's exciting that we are headed down that path.
You know,
Happy to do it.
one thing I wanted to make mention of was just that throughout that entire evening, I just saw a really strong alignment between what was the business leaders are looking for in employees and the profile of the graduate. But the one lingering question that I still have is, how do we communicate what we learned and know with our owners, and specifically the parents? Even as we move forward with the interim assessments, how are we sharing that out and communicating that so that parents are aware of the shift that is already taking place? Because that's just something that I want to be aware of as we move
Brian's
forward.
working on a communication plan. He's going to present it to me and strategic leadership team scheduled for June. So it's kind of a comprehensive plan as we look to next school year. And so definitely mindful of that. I think that was part of our discussion, how to keep that as at the forefront, because it represents rather a shift for us. So, more to come on that. Certainly these conversations, social media, promotional things we're doing, newsletters coming out in a few weeks, and I think that continues to be a focus area for us. So.
That's great. We certainly want parents to understand what is happening. So,
And specifically, the students involved with the interim assessment, of course, parents have been informed.
Correct.
Right.
sure.
So, but that's just a random sampling of students, so it's not a lot of students.
Administratively, just similar items that Gary had mentioned in his comments. We talked about hosting a lunch and learn with Amerilux, Baytech, and paper converting with a focus on organizational development. It seemed like those three organizations in particular had a lot to say about that. Exploring further with Baytech, Schneider, paper converting partnerships. Those three in particular seem really open to continuing the conversation and inviting those thought partners in as we develop some of these next generation pathways that Becky and her team referenced earlier. So how do we get industry voice as part of that process? So yeah, we felt it was both at the board and the administrative level, there was a great takeaway for us too.
Right, because often we say after them, okay, so what are we doing? We're gonna do this. And we already have a plan. You anticipated the question.
Yeah, well, I think it's always great when you see genuine interest, right?
And there was.
Even, for paper converting, to say, hey, let's just take the transportation issue off the table, we'll pay for buses, we'll pay for lunch. I mean, there's such a shortage of skilled labor right now that probably one of the best times ever to have a conversation, because it's, we've got the desire and they've got the need, and put the two together, and it's a promise for change, so thanks, Stuart.
Yes, thank you. It was a great linkage. Thanks to everybody for engaging.
And you said at the end, encouraging them for us, he was the loudest proponent of it. So great that you're doing this, and again, probably the most critical consumer that I've engaged recently, but to see his appreciation and for him to move along with that. In fact, he did the welcome message, I think 2 or 3 years ago, he was president of Partners in Ed, and it was at the event. I mean, it was 180 degrees turnout compared to where it was 5, 6 years ago. So the board, I think, really supports the changing narrative around we can't do it alone, right? Schools can't do it alone. So to the degree or the extent that we're getting out and meeting them on their turf and on their time, we're putting our money where our mouth is, and I think they're taking notice. So it's hard to measure the impact of that, but I think if you would have connected afterward, and even as we continue to connect with them, they will, those business leaders will know that they're genuinely interested and serious about transformation. And so thanks for providing the forum for that to happen. I think it's really unique. I think Mark from Bellin kept saying, who else is doing this? Who else is doing this in terms of what our board is doing? And I don't know any other boards that are actively and consistently doing this, separate and apart from referendum-related initiatives. So this dialogue helps us even in that space, because we don't, it's not every 3 to 5 years we're asking every now.
We're building relationships ongoing, just like we do with our legislature.
And just as valuable with the notes, putting them in a hard copy and trying to think about how to put them into one format so then you can reread them. So I did it this time. It wasn't at a few, but then all of a sudden when you do it, you're typing them up. It feels good to get it down on paper.
It does, you're right, yes. Yeah, thanks everybody for entering your notes. So, anything else on the business linkage? Okay, then.
Thank you for hosting.
Oh, you're very welcome. My pleasure. All right, so let's move on to the legislative linkage, which is Friday morning. We talked last meeting about just, what we want to know from them. We didn't really, I looked at the last couple of linkages, and we didn't really have specific questions. We just had more of a guideline of the topics we want to cover. So that's what I prepared that. But Vanessa, it's you are facilitating. So I'm, this is just a draft. So
Exactly what I have in my notes was specific questions, question mark. I wasn't sure. So I know this, I had reached out after the agenda came out, because I thought the last time we had talked, Matt and Damien were going to do some sort of TED talk to start us off.
Right.
I'm not sure if that was still the kind of the.
that's the school financial review.
That's going to be your. So is there a success story that's being showcased?
It's integrated into the overview. So those two are really one and the same. So we start with Jerry, right? Who's going to give a testimonial, and then we end with the student testimonial as well. So.
Because remember we had talked about the students that.
Yep, absolutely right. So within that TED Talk, there'll be the student success stories, potentially a school finance overview, and then regarding the biennium budget projected timeline, what would you like to see there? Considering we just testified recently.
Well, generally what we've done in the past is open it up to say, so, especially because John is there,
Mhm.
so, you know, he's the person that can answer it for us. You know, what do you see, asking him, what do you see as the timeline? You know, and then there'll be, you know, there'll be some follow-ups that we could probably ask him, like, you know, what did you hear from all the testimony you heard, you know, over those 4 days? We can get, you know, we don't need to plug the fact that you were there. They all know the record, so.
Okay.
I think for us, just really pushing now to hit the stated target of July 1st, right? And so we're really in a holding pattern. If this gets delayed, we're going to message with forecasting and budget planning, and you know, we've got annual meeting like in September, we've got budget meeting and tax levy in October, so we have statutory requirements to advertise the meetings in advance, so we want to give our community the most accurate information possible, so that, you know, it's communication, right?
Yep.
Advocacy, those are our goals. So what we're hearing is that we can expect a July 1st completion date.
And so, yeah,
Pleasantly surprised.
that would be great, yeah. But he'll give us that information.
Well, I think he can give us an indicator of what we got through this thing, so.
Yes.
So then moving into the proposed legislation as a result, is there anything that we want, how do we want to approach that? Is there a specific ask, or is it just another update?
Well, what do we want to know from them? We'd like to know what they're gonna be working on. They're not in session right now.
Well,
so-
maybe your question is best answered by, maybe if Matt can kind of give a preview of what the TED Talk is gonna contain, and maybe we align with that, because of, you know, based on our meeting this morning, I think there's a kind of unique creative twist that we're trying to bring to the presentation that the board could support through his questions, so.
Yeah, so the more we outline the short presentation, it is becoming a little bit more about inspiring a call to action. There's some real concrete statements that we can make and pull, and it's really, the intent right now would be to tune them up a little bit, quite frankly, you know, to cause a call to action, so to speak. There's some recent information out, objective, nonpartisan, third party from the Association for Equity and Funding, where there's some new numbers that basically, the big idea is that they took 2015 data across the entire state, every school district, and created a disparity index, what our funding should have been for every district, and how much less we actually got. For us, that's a really, really big number. It's a number we haven't considered or thought of, so there's kind of like a climax or a big spot in the middle of the tune-up, like this is where we're supposed to be, and here's our reality. So that's kind of, I hope that informs your questions. I hope so. It's exciting. We're ready to go. It's pretty much done. To the point of you know, again, the one thing I mentioned the last board meeting was maybe asking for that common ground. And is that under that proposed legislation area? Just anything, just where do you all see common ground right now? I think we'll learn
Yeah,
from
where
that.
you see common ground.
Yeah,
bipartisan support,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, not just in education, just in the budget
Mhm.
in general. I think we'll learn a lot from that.
Yeah, part of what, you know, as we think about how do we affirm, instruct, and inspire, that's kind of our, I think, our goal of the presentation to the legislators is, well, this is the aspirational piece, and I think Amanda will speak to that. You'll hear a testimonial, you know, a day in the life of, right? It's kind of a
Yeah.
visionary.
We're twisting, play on words on the title, what school should be. So it's a student who's been very successful currently, but really would just ask, what should your day be like next year? You'd be surprised at our answer. It's not what we have right now. And that's the, kind of the intro, catching, getting, testimony from that student. And then even to end with possibly another student, an up-and-comer for the future, a younger student, or even Amanda just saying, I'm okay, I'm moving on, I'm a senior next year, I have I have all these opportunities, but what about the other 6,000? And they're coming, so kind of end with that and,
It's kind of a comment from earlier in the evening, right?
Yeah.
Gosh, I wish I had this.
Yeah, it was beautiful you said that, and just exactly what we were thinking, so.
So then the question is, with the call to action, do the talking points that the board advanced, through Vanessa's testimony and joint finance committee here, are those still, do you think those are still relevant for what we're trying to accomplish with the,
Yes, exactly. So coming right out of the study, the Association for Equity and Funding, their top recommendation aligns with the Blue Ribbon Task Force's top recommendation, which aligns with our top bullet point when we testified. It's said a different way, but for the presentation on Friday, it'll read like this. Call to action is increases in per pupil aid independent of a district's property level. That's saying equalization aid,
Yeah.
not tax levy flexibility. Holding, and I've edited it for a passionate call to action, holding all students harmless for socioeconomic factors for which we have no control. It's not written that way in all those other sources, but I'm adding the all students. It's said, because it usually is written, hold the district harmless. Hold the district doesn't matter, it's the kids that matter. So trying to get students in the statement. So that would be our call to action, how we've edited that. And but again, it aligns with all three of those other sources. Everyone's saying the same thing. You guys have the power to fix it. It's all there for you. Actually, the work's been done by independent economic folks. Just switch a couple things in the formula on where we're good to go.
Okay.
I knew,
I knew you saw, you saw that?
Yeah.
Okay, I just, based off of all of that, we'll start with the welcome and introduction, the TED Talk, the success stories, the finance overview. I'll jump right into the Joint Finance Committee hearings, asking what was their biggest takeaway, move from there into the budget, what do they see as the projected timeline, is July 1 still a viable option, explain why, that, the budget meeting, the tax levy, the statutory requirements that we have, and then going into where they see common ground in the budget as it relates to public education, move into the legislation, questions about the Blue Ribbon Commission, where do they see common ground in other legislation. Moving forward, looking at the top recommendation, the increase in per pupil aid, not reliant on property taxes, aka equalization aid, and then looking ahead, I'll ask all of you, is this working good?
Yeah.
Would it be okay if you took success story out, or do we want that phrase?
This is my own little, it's gone.
Just wonder if that might
It's gone.
skew.
And
I don't know if
do we
that's-
wanna call it TED Talk?
It's my own
Okay.
outline, so.
Okay.
I think school finance overview or,
Whatever, yeah.
Just,
what do you call it, presentation?
My
let's
story.
just call it what school should be for now. I don't know.
Okay. This is for my eyes only, so it's the.
Yeah,
Right,
just
but it-
in case
right,
that gets
yes.
out on an agenda or something, I just wonder if that
Mhm.
will feel like a bait and switch. I mean, she is a success story, the student like a lot of her students,
Right,
but she's not
yes.
gonna talk about her
Right.
accomplishments and things like that.
I'm just trying to understand how the progression,
Mhm.
where we want to, starting there, moving into the, we do going straight into the JFC, that leads into budget, which leads into legislation, which leads
I would do
into.
the budget first before the GFC. but-
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Just as a secondary, as if there's crickets. Oh, what did you hear? But there won't be crickets.
No.
They're,
No.
yeah.
Okay.
Now,
Very
do we know that, Paul and Steve are coming and they're bringing?
Yes, yes, I don't have the name of the trustees,
Okay.
but both administrators.
Good.
And Ryan also confirmed that he'll
He'll
attend.
be there as well. Okay, good. That's good. Anything else?
Regarding the welcome, you're gonna want to, I'm assuming just a few seconds then. Thanks for being here, we appreciate you taking the time on your day. We're gonna go around the table, introduce ourselves, and then Amy and Matt are gonna take it away. Just speak to, what you're doing truly is setting the stage, and I don't wanna, you know, I just wanna put the tablecloth on it.
Yep,
On the
exactly,
table.
yeah.
Then you guys can put on the dishes.
That's nice recording.
Yes, it is.
I'll be cutting it close, I'll be coming from coffee with the superintendent, but I'm down in town line, so just I come in right beforehand, that's what it's on.
I got it. Alright, okay, I'm excited about it. Is everyone gonna be there?
I will not be there.
Oh,
You can't do that, okay. I'm
sorry.
Is it just the three of us then? Chief, that's
I
kinda
have a
used-
scheduled closing at
Okay.
a title company, but see if it goes or not.
Okay. So perhaps.
Put you down as a maybe?
It's been in place for 6 weeks, so.
Oh,
Yeah, you.
yeah, that family would probably not be happy.
It's there's an acquisition, so kind of,
Oh,
attorneys and whatnot.
In that case. Oh, okay, so the three of us for sure then.
Abby, how about you?
I have an AP test on.
Okay, all right. I think you did tell me that.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed. I wanted to be at this one, but, you know, get these college credits.
Okay. All right, anything else? Anybody else? Okay. So. Okay, committee structure, oh yes, yeah, you know, this is an easy one. This, because Jeff, you were still interested in being a delegate, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I thought, and then the alternate is stated in the job description for, so that's already you and Vanessa?
Unless anyone else wants it.
No, maybe, unless, really? Are you
Oh,
serious?
no, I would not want to give it up. I love it.
I was like, that was it.
No, I love it. I love it.
All right, then, good. Well, good.
You okay with me still doing it?
Yeah, absolutely, yes, so. Okay, let's move on to our board development section, and we're gonna start with the Carter guide. Did everybody have a chance to, read that? Good. So, for you new guys, what we normally do in this section is just, talk about things, you know, new things that we take away, or things that just hit us that you know, touched our psyches. So, and really, every year that I read this, something hits me, so, so I'd like the board to, I'd like somebody